The call came just after sunrise, a frantic mother, voice shaking, telling the dispatcher her 7-year-old daughter was missing. One moment the child was playing in the yard. The next, she had wandered off toward the tree line behind the house. The forest was endless, the kind that swallows sound and light. By the time officers arrived, fear had already settled over the neighborhood like a dark cloud. But then a K-9 unit pulled in, a single patrol vehicle, and stepping out of it was a dog that looked almost ordinary. His name was Mercury, a black and tan bloodhound with ears so long they nearly brushed the ground and eyes as soft as warm honey. No one knew it yet, but this dog was about to change everything. The mother clutched her daughter's sweater, tiny, pink, the kind decorated with faded unicorns. An officer handed it to Mercury's handler, who crouched low and let the dog bury his nose into it. That moment always looked small from the outside, but this was where the magic truly began. Because inside that sweater were billions, literally billions, of scent particles. And what most people don't know is that a bloodhound like Mercury has 300 million scent receptors, compared to our 5 million. That's why they don't follow footsteps, they follow individual identity. Every human scent is a fingerprint made of evaporated skin cells. And Mercury? He could read that fingerprint like a book. As the dog inhaled, the forest around them seemed to hold its breath. Then, without hesitation, he pulled forward, muscles tightening, tail rising. He had locked onto the child's trail. The search began. The forest was thick, tangled with vines, and wet with morning dew. Officers followed behind Mercury and his handler, but the dog moved like a creature who belonged to the earth in a way humans never could. He dipped his nose low, swung his head side to side, something handlers call casting, and then surged forward again. And every time he did, hope flickered inside the mother's chest. This wasn't just a dog. This was her last chance. There's a strange fact about bloodhounds that almost feels like myth. Their long, drooping ears actually help sweep scent upward toward their nose, and the folds around their face trap the odor so they don't lose it. Watching Mercury work, it felt like watching evolution itself solve a mystery. The deeper he went into the woods, the stronger his drive became. Because for dogs like him, the search isn't just a job, it's joy. Their reward isn't money or praise. It's the moment they find the person. It's instinct wrapped in purpose. An hour passed, then another. Officers shouted the girl's name, hoping she would respond, but their voices only seemed to bounce off trees and vanish. But Mercury never slowed. At one point he waded through a shallow creek, and everyone hesitated. Water usually distorts scent, but not for Mercury. He paused, sniffed the air, swung left, and kept going. One of the officers whispered, almost in disbelief, "He tracked her through water?" The handler nodded. "Their noses don't lose trails. We do. They don't." The mother followed the team from a distance, tears streaking her face, whispering prayers into cold air. She had heard horror stories, children wandering too far, losing their way, succumbing to cold, or falling somewhere unreachable. But she also knew this. The moment Mercury started trailing, she felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt since dawn: belief. 2.5 hours into the search, Mercury suddenly stopped. His ears lifted. His tail stiffened. The handler murmured, "He's got something." Mercury pulled sharply to the right, toward a steep slope leading into a ravine. Officers scrambled behind him, sliding in mud, grabbing branches. At the bottom, thick brush covered the ground like a blanket. And then it happened. Mercury lunged forward, barked, a deep, powerful bark that handlers called alert. Beneath the brush, barely visible, was a shape. A tiny, trembling shape. The handler dropped to his knees and pushed aside the branches, revealing the frightened little girl curled into a ball, cheeks streaked with dirt, hands scraped, eyes wide with fear. She had tried to climb over the ravine but fell, rolling into the thick undergrowth and becoming invisible from above. When she saw Mercury, her expression cracked into pure, desperate relief. The handler checked her for injuries, wrapped her in his jacket, and radioed the message the mother had prayed for. Child located. She's alive. The mother reached the ravine moments later, running, stumbling, falling, until she saw her daughter being carried upward. She screamed her name, and the girl burst into tears, reaching out with both arms. No officer watching that reunion kept dry eyes. Even Mercury, sitting beside his handler, tilted his head and wagged his tail slowly. as though he understood he had brought a family back together. Later, paramedics confirmed the girl had been cold and dehydrated, but safe thanks to Mercury's quick work. Reporters asked the handler how Mercury found her so fast, and he simply smiled. Scent is everything to him. It's in the air, on the ground, hanging on leaves. He can track a trail that's days old. And when a child needs him, he doesn't stop. What people didn't know is that Mercury had done this before. He had located elderly wanderers, hikers, and even a lost teenager who hid intentionally out of fear. Every time, he moved with the same quiet determination. Because for a bloodhound, a missing human isn't just a case. It's a mission carved into instinct. There's another strange truth. A dog's nose is so powerful that scientists say they can smell human fingerprints even after the fingerprints have been wiped away. That means Mercury wasn't just following the girl's footsteps. He was following the microscopic trace of her existence. And that's why police canines matter. Not because they look heroic, but because they are heroic. Animals whose bodies, instincts, and loyalty transform them into living rescue tools. They don't question the job. They don't give up. They don't complain. They just follow the scent of hope. As the sun began to set that day, Mercury returned to his patrol car, muddy and tired but proudly carrying the girl's scent article back in his harness. The mother approached him, knelt beside him, and whispered, "Thank you." Dogs don't understand words like humans do, but Mercury understood the tone. He leaned into her hand, closing his eyes softly. Thousands of searches happen every year. Many end in heartbreak, but some end because of dogs like Mercury. Dogs who turn fear into relief, chaos into clarity, and despair into reunion. And if this story touched you, let it remind you of one thing. Behind every missing person miracle is a four-legged hero with a nose that never lies, a heart that never hesitates, and a purpose written in their DNA. Like the video, share it, and subscribe, because stories like this deserve to be heard, and these heroes deserve to be known.